For this week's Reddit reply, we have some rules questions, mainly about defense, which just gets tricky and gets confusing, and it's going to be a confusing answer, so here we go with that. We're going to talk about a new YouTuber that's out there from Marvel Champions, and then also about Valkyrie, because we don't talk enough about Valkyrie on this channel, so let's go check out Reddit. So the first one is a new Rise of Red Skull playthrough. Hello everybody, I recently started recording playthroughs of champions, primarily for fun and to show friends different builds. I'm working to get a better setup, but in the meantime I wanted to have some fun with some different decks. I don't play too seriously or competitive. I mostly just like to have fun with different decks. And best of all, I'm not a loud, crazy person, making the videos perfect for a chill second monitor experience. I don't know if this is just me, but when I read stuff like this, especially as a content creator, I go, who are they thinking of? Like, is there some crazy Marvel Champions player out there that's just like wild on stream and just insane? And then I realize, is that person me? Like, I think that's me. I think they're talking about me. Probably not, but I always find that funny that when people bring that stuff up. So anyway, here's a playlist of the Red Skull campaign with Black Widow, revisiting her after not playing her since Guardians Most Wanted. I hope you enjoy the videos and feedback is welcome. So here's the video, and it's from Ichiban Guilo. Yeah, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, dude. I apologize. But anyway, this is their video of their playthrough. It's a pretty decent video. It's pretty good enough quality, and it's a good playthrough. They did a good job with this video, so it's definitely worth checking out. Check them out, and also just support all the content creators in the space that you can. If you really like Marvel Champions and want it to continue to thrive and succeed, really support it. This could be a weird side note, but I do think we're at the point where this game obviously has legs. It's going to keep going for quite some time, but we've seen this in the video game industry, that a lot of games continue to thrive and survive because of the content community that's around it, right? That they support it, they cover it, they talk all about it, and it still does really, really well. And I think this is one of the first times we're seeing this for a board game where there is a large content community. Like, it's not just me or just Josh or Nelson or anyone like that. Like, there's a lot of content creators out there creating amazing content for this game, and not even just YouTube either, but there's like amazing podcasts out there as well that are just covering so much stuff, and there's written articles, and they're on Reddit, and they have their own website. Like, it's insane. And I don't think we've ever really seen anything quite like it from all medium and media aspects on one like single game. Now obviously all these people like cover some other stuff too, but a large portion of their content is Marvel Champions related. So I think it's really cool to see. I think it's really good for the board game industry as a whole to have more content creators like focus on specific games instead of just not like general Kickstarter preview review videos, which is just whatever. It's more like niche and focusing on the game. And hopefully that in turn leads to Marvel Champions continuing to have a very successful run. Now, again, I don't want to say like, hey, content creators are the only reason this game still exists. No, absolutely not. Of course not. But I do think this will help with the longevity of the game and, keep them making stuff for it. And we all love Marvel Champions. We're all passionate about it. So I think that's overall a win-win for everyone. So anyway, that very long spiel is to basically say, keep supporting your content creators. You don't necessarily have to give them money or anything, but just watching their videos and subscribing to their channels really helps out. It really does. So that's all. That's all I would say to that. But yeah, this is a new YouTuber that's out there, so I wish them the best of luck. And if they ever need help, or any content creator ever needs help or advice, message me on Discord. More than happy to. Next up, Valkyrie question. I have recently gotten to Marvel Champions and have gotten a few character packs, and while researching, I see almost unanimously Valkyrie is considered one of the worst heroes. After looking through her cards, they don't seem terrible, and I'm confused on why she's considered one of the worst. Let's go, Holiday Inn Nineva. Sorry, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong. This person's my new best friend, though. Her nemesis does seem really hard, fair enough, but they usually don't come into play. I mean, as long as you don't draw shadows all the time, I would agree. Is it just that the minion attacking archetype is bad, and without that, she just doesn't have an upside, or am I missing something? This goes into a much larger rant that I have, which you have all probably heard many, many times, that I don't think Valkyrie is nearly as bad as people make her out to be. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying like there are great heroes and there are not as good or bad heroes. Like, I have nothing wrong with that, because obviously there is differences in heroes, right? Obviously there is. And somebody, if you're going to list them all, has to be on the bottom, right? Has to be on the bottom. Now I get that it's very, very easy that like common knowledge says that Valkyrie is on the bottom. I personally don't think that's the case. I think it's obviously Doctor Strange, the worst hero in the game. But for me, I think a lot of the things that people have issues with Valkyrie is that she's very hard to navigate. She's very hard to navigate, and you have to build her leaning into her weaknesses, not always her strengths. I mean, you can lean into her strengths too, and that build does work. All right, but you do need to kind of lean into her weaknesses with things, especially for true solo. She's tough to navigate. She's really, really hard, and I don't think people want to put in the work because it becomes more work than fun. And I get that. I get that argument. I think that's a fine argument. But I do think that people are shortchanging Valkyrie. I don't think she is the worst hero by far. I really don't. I know my community is gonna hate me. I don't think Hawkeye's that good. I think Hawkeye's objectively worse. Still fun. Still enjoy Hawkeye. Still think he's a worse hero. But anyway, regardless, I really implore people to, no matter whoever your worst hero is, go back and try them some more. Right? Go back and try them again. Try them in a different way. Try them in a different light, especially with some of the new cards that we have that really beef up some of these older heroes. Try them again and see how you like them. I did with Hawkeye. I'm not a big Hawkeye fan. I don't think Hawkeye's very good, but sure is fun. Sure is fun. Really enjoyed it. And I recently played Strange on stream too. He's still terrible. He's still awful. He's just the worst. And Valkyrie's goated, obviously. But no, this is really just to say, if there are heroes out there that you don't think are that good or whatever, like definitely make sure that you give them another shot, especially as we get more and more new cards. I think they're always worth trying out again. All right, next one is Gambit, Thief Extraordinaire. Can I use Thief Extraordinaire if there's no threat on any scheme? I would think not, since it's a thwart action, but wasn't sure. No, you can't. If there's no target, as per 1.5 rules, if there's no target, you can't do it. Now, the one thing that's weird is that if you were confused, you could do it then, right? Because I guess the confusion would be the target then, which kind of makes sense. I think that's how the community's been kind of justifying it, which is fine. Like, I think it's a fine way to do it. But if there's no target to thwart, you can't do the thwart, right? You can't do the action. So the only way you'd be able to do it if there's no threat on the scheme is if you're confused. I'm pretty sure that would still work, even though that's his alter ego side, right? Thief Extraordinaire, if I'm not misremembering that. But I'm pretty sure it still works the same. You can correct me down below if I'm wrong. But anyway, no threat in the scheme. There's no target, thus you can't do it. Next up is a rogue question. Does touched count against deck size limits? So this is like a weirdly easy and yet hard thing to answer. So first we have to look at the rules, which states player's deck consists of a minimum of 40 cards and a maximum 50 cards. The identity card and any cards with a permanent keyword are not counted as part of this number. Okay, so for Rogue, touched doesn't have the permanent keyword, right? So touched is one of the cards in your deck, right? So when you use her cards, you're starting with a base of 16. On the other side, Wolverine's claws have permanent, so out of his 16 cards, only 15 count toward the deck size. It's a very weird ruling, and I'm sure they have their reasons for doing it and whatnot, but it's one of those things that, like, once you understand that, it makes more sense. But if you're just thinking in the perspective of like, oh, the 16th card counts or doesn't count, it's a bad way of looking at it. Don't look at it that way. You have to look at the permanent keyword. If there is a permanent keyword, it does not count toward your deck. And if there is not a permanent keyword, it does count toward your deck. Hopefully I did that right. Hopefully I said that right. But it is kind of confusing. But as long as you just remember, don't think about it as a 16th card. Think about it as a permanent keyword card. And hopefully that helps. All right, so next one is understanding defending versus defense events. So my understanding is that a card like Desperate Defense requires my hero to tap and use its basic defense in order to defend. Preemptive Strike has no mention of when defending, but as defense still redirects the... But as a defense, it still redirects the attack to my hero. Will this count as defending? How does this work with Kitty Pryde's form changing? So here's the thing. This is going to be really weird, but bear with me. Technically, you don't actually have to exhaust to use this card. It's not really efficient to not do that, but you don't have to. Desperate Defense states when your hero defends against an attack, it gets +2 for that attack. If you take no damage from that attack, ready your hero. Now, according to 1.4 rules, if you use a card like Preemptive Strike, when a boost card is turned face up while the villain attacks, cancel all boost icons on that card and then, deal whatever. This would count as being a defense card, and it would count as you defending, right? Because it has the defense word on it. So now it counts as that you are now the defender and you are defending by playing this card, which could like do other triggers and other things like that. The easiest way to trigger Desperate Defense is that you have to be defending, right? It's interrupting the defending thing you're doing. And the easiest way of doing that is by exhausting your hero. But you technically don't have to. You just have to be defending, which could be a defense card. It gets very inefficient at this point, to be completely honest, like do it another way. But I think that's what causes some of the confusion, is that people think, oh, you have to exhaust to use this card. No, you have to be defending to use this card. And playing another defense event is defending. So you could technically stack the cards. It'd just be very inefficient and you probably wouldn't really ever do it. And I don't see a reason why you would, but you could, right? You could. And I think that's important to know, because if you don't draw that distinction, people are going to wonder why like this card is so special with it. And they think that when a hero defends, it has to be the hero actually exhausting, when again, the defense event is defending. Now, when they bring up phase with Kitty Pryde or Shadowcat, while Shadowcat is defending, she cannot take damage. As long as you play a defense card, you are now considered defending, right? You're the defender and you're defending. So she would not take any damage. This is like, these cards with her can be incredibly strong. And then after you attack or defend in phase mass form, flip this card. Same exact thing on this card too, is when you play a defense event or an attack event, whatever. After you attack or defend, which is a part of the defense event, you would flip this card as well. So again, it's a little confusing, but that's hopefully makes sense. I think that's just a better way to look at it, because I have seen that come up where people ask about Desperate Defense and like, why is this card unique but you have to exhaust? You don't actually have to exhaust. It's just by far the easiest. It makes the most sense for triggering the action that you're interrupting. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know, but it is a weird like thing when you really think about it. So hopefully you like this week's Reddit reply. If there's ever things you want me to answer or anything like that, or you have questions or whatever, feel free to write in the comments or shoot me a message or whatever. Whatever is easiest for you. And I'll be happy to put it in part of the Reddit reply, because Reddit is really ready for the next cycle and ready for new stuff to come out so we can talk about said stuff. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this series. Speaking of series, there's a new one I have started with, is basically called How I Play. And I just take different heroes that I really like and I kind of break down an example of a deck, right? It's not necessarily the best deck or the only way to play the hero by any means, but it's just a way that I've been playing them recently and that I've really enjoyed, and I wanted to share. And I wanted to share what the deck is, how it's constructed, and kind of my rough thought process, right? It's not a perfect way of playing. It's just like a rough idea, and just a rough process. And, you know, just as like a baseline of what you could do, right? Just to get the ideas kind of flowing. So anyway, if you want to watch the first one in the series, it's right here. It's How I Play Phoenix. This is the one that started all, I believe. But yeah, feel free to check it out. Hopefully you like it, and hopefully you like the series. If you made it this far in the video, hit the like button, hit subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps out. See y'all next time.